Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of the MyHappiness vlog. To recap, last week we talked about happiness and the struggles in finding it and maintaining it and just trying to make it a part of your everyday life. Today we're going to talk about faith. And faith, I think, is a lot harder to find and a lot harder to maintain than is happiness. Faith is just it's a much stronger feeling that needs a lot of work to develop. Because faith can really drive a person forward and keep them fighting. Faith is what you need to fight. Happiness is what you need to live, but faith is what you need to fight. And to develop that fighting spirit, that warrior spirit, is really difficult. And it was very difficult for me. It took most of my life to find it. So I'm just going to talk about first how I started living and how I lived most of my life. And then I want to talk about the moment it changed when I started believing that I was strong enough to beat this disease and believing that I could get through anything. So we discussed last week about the time I was depressed, like age 13, age 14, that age right there. So during that time of my life, I did not believe that I would make it. I did not believe that I was strong enough to get through every single day. I did not believe that there was any hope of beating this disease. And honestly, that was just growing up. I just didn't feel as though any good would come of my life. Because from what I knew, all I knew was pain and suffering and just struggling and not seeing a lot of good. So most of my life I didn't see enough good to outweigh all the bad that I was feeling and experiencing. But through it all, I saw my mother. And I'm going to talk a lot about my mother today because she's the reason I am who I am. She's the reason I fight like I fight. But when I was younger, I saw how strong she was and how she never let anything bring her down. She never let anything send her into a pit of depression or into a dark time. She was always strong. She was always full of hope and positivity. And she had the strongest faith in God I've ever seen. The strongest faith in everything. I just couldn't really understand it. And when I was younger, I thought, I think she's just trying to be hopeful and trying to be full of faith and full of hope because she's scared of confronting the reality of what her son is going through. That sort of like she wants to be hopeful because she's scared to be terrified of losing her son. But I was so wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong. Because my mother believes deep down in her heart that I'm going to make it through. And that everything's going to be okay. And that God is on my side. And that God is protecting me. And it took a long time for me to really grasp that, hey, she really does believe. It's not an act. It's not something she uses to hide from the horrors of this disease. It's something she feels in her core. That's faith. Faith is feeling it in your core. And I would like to make a distinction real quick. Faith does not have to be a religious faith. It doesn't have to be a faith in God. It just has to be a faith in the good that will come, a faith in the future. a belief that everything will eventually work itself out, a belief that anything is possible and that any situation can be overcome. So whether you believe in God or you don't, you can still have faith, you can still believe, and you can still develop that fighter's mentality. It doesn't have to do anything with religion. In my case, my faith is a mixture of both. I believe in God. I believe that God has a plan. And I believe that God is on my side. And that God will give me the tools to beat this disease. But I also believe in myself. I believe in my strength. I believe in my heart that I'm a fighter and that I can beat anything and do anything. And it's a testament to my mother, who's always instilled in me that fight, that faith, that belief. She's always taught me that that's the way to go. And it's been proven to me. You might not believe me, but my faith is incredibly strong, and it has gotten me through everything difficult in my life. And it's been proven to me through things that have happened to me recently that faith was not for nothing. That faith had meaning and it had, how do you say, there was a point to it. It wasn't just believing. It wasn't for nothing. It's not that I didn't get anything in return for having that faith. I got everything in return. And let me tell you how. What did I get in return? What did I see that proved to me that my faith was real and that there was truth behind it? So last week I told you about how horrible this disease is and how it kills and how it destroys. But I didn't tell you last week that 2 months ago, I started receiving a life-altering drug whose goal is to stop this disease in its tracks and keep it from getting worse. After a year and a half of fighting for insurance to pay for this drug, I finally got it. I finally started treatment 2 months ago, or a month ago, I don't even know. It's been maybe a month and a half. And I feel stronger already. I feel little improvements in my arm strength, in my muscle strength in my arms. I can hold my phone for a really long time and type on it for a really long time. Before, it was difficult, and I needed help exactly positioning the phone in my hand so that it would be comfortable. But now I don't. I don't need that help. I can hold it for a really long time. I can position it in my hands. I'm sitting at this table, and a couple of days ago I sat at this table, and I was able to push myself forward, pull myself forward without assistance, and I couldn't do that before. That's proof. I believed for years that I would beat this, that something good will come, and that I won't be left dying. Like something is being done right now. And that's because I believed that it would happen. I believed every day that I would get a call, that a drug would come out, that I would start getting better. And I did. And that's what I want to tell you guys. I want to show you the proof. I want to show you that you guys, no matter what you're going through, if you believe, you can get through it. And I want you to believe. You do that by having positive thoughts and finding the best in every situation, finding the good, believing in the good, feeling it in your heart that good will come and that you can get through anything. I want to end off by reading a poem that I wrote for my mother. And I'm going to read it right now, and then we're going to leave it at that for this week. So here it goes. The poem is called My Mother the Teacher. Mother, mother, you wonder why I never write about you. It is not for a lack of love or appreciation, but rather an overabundance of both. How can I possibly thank you in a way that's enough? Mother, mother, you taught me hope when I only knew fear, joy when I only knew anger, resilience when I only knew cowardice. Teacher, teacher, I must thank you for my degree in warrior. That's the poem that I wrote for my mother, and every word is true. And over the course of these vlogs, you'll learn a lot more about my relationship with my mother and my story and the people in my life. Next week, we're going to talk about identity. I'm not going to tell you what that means now, but identity. Thank you.